So years ago, I recorded a Let's Play of the original Golden Axe, but I did not complete the dual game mode. So that's what we're here to finish today. I'm gonna finish up the Golden Axe Let's Play the way I should have by including the dual game mode. And it's not like the duel is a particularly compelling game mode. We simply go through a series of 12 battles in ascending order of difficulty, and after we beat the 12th battle, we are given the credits. But it felt weird to have the Let's Play incomplete. Golden Axe, as with many old beat-em-ups, is largely about understanding spacing. Old beat-em-ups like this, the 2.5D ones, which in reality have 3D movement, are all about appropriately bobbing and weaving around your enemies and predicting their attacks, finding vulnerabilities. And this is why I greatly prefer 3D or 2.5D beat-em-ups to 2D ones, is because keeping aware of the spacing is a lot more challenging and meaningful when it's in 3D or pseudo-3D, I find. I do worry sometimes that when I play old beat-em-ups, or traditionally styled beat-em-ups, I end up making the games look a lot easier than they actually are. Because the thing about watching people play high-skill games is that a lot of the times the movement and decisions being made are not easy to comprehend or even see for people just watching. And a lot of the time my commentary is built around drawing attention to that. But there are still so many decisions that are made that I can't even hope to bring up because they're so minuscule, but together they form such a greater strategy, a greater whole, all of them pieces to the understanding of the game's mechanics. You have to be acutely aware of what the enemy types are aware of, how they behave, when they behave that way, and what causes those behaviors. And, you know, again, there's the spacing. You have to be exactly aware of the hitbox of your attack and the enemies and all of the tools at your and their disposal, because they can do practically everything you can. But for an example of a bit of small knowledge that goes a long way toward understanding the game, I know that in this game, when you're doing a running attack, you want to press the attack button a fair bit before you actually mean to attack. This allows you the chance to preempt the enemy trying to charge you and knock you out of the air while you're running at them. And your attack goes for quite a bit farther than you might think, so attacking before it seems you would need to doesn't inhibit your ability to actually strike the enemy even if they don't try to counter you. Basically, pressing the attack button a bit earlier than you feel you'd need to while you're doing a running attack is a win-win. There's just no losing situation in that scenario. There's also, like, you might be noticing I'm using jump attacks a lot, but I'm only using jump attacks, like, right as the enemy gets on the same plane as me. If you were to just walk up to the enemies and try jump attacking them more aggressively instead of moving around them first, then you'd have a bit of a harder time, because they can knock you out of the air or interrupt your jump attack in a variety of ways. It's about attacking them when they're vulnerable, and when they move onto your plane, they're vulnerable for a brief second because they can't react in time yet. And then there's the more obvious stuff like being aware of how many invincibility frames you and the enemies have, so that way you can attack them as soon as they recover. And the reason I'm relying on the jump attacks so much is because even though the basic combo isn't useless, it is the case that the basic combo leaves you a lot more open than the jump attack. The jump attack deals pretty decent damage on its own, and it's quick, breezy, and easy to recover from. But when you get into a combo, you're stuck in that combo for a bit. It takes a moment to disengage, unlike with jump attacks. Jump attacks just allow for a lot more free movement. You might have noticed that the duel mode that we're playing right now has a timer during the fight. You'll see it again during the skeleton battle. There it is in the upper right. I don't know what that timer does, because when it runs out, nothing bad happens. I think it may contribute to the score you get at the end, but we're going to get an A+++ rating regardless, because we're going to finish the game mode. So the skeletons in particular are probably the toughest normal enemies. They can easily be subdued if you have the right spacing with your jump attacks, but if you don't, like that, then you'll get knocked out of the air. Choosing the right time to jump and when to swing your axe down is so extremely important. You might not even notice the difference between the times I succeed and the times I don't. But I noticed the difference, I just pressed jump at the wrong time. I do have a lot of fondness for the original Golden Axe. I tend to generally have fondness for the original games in a game series, more than their sequels. Because, you know, they were the first. And there's always some rugged charm to that. And I've also figured out the original Golden Axe, you know? This isn't my greatest gameplay, far from it, but I've figured out Golden Axe, and I can come back to it practically any time and still be good at the game, because I've got it down. But I haven't got the sequels down quite like that. There's very few beat-em-ups that I have figured out, and have kept figured out the way I've figured out Golden Axe. Like, sure, in the moment I've figured out practically every beat-em-up I've played, that's how you win them, but the memories don't always stick like they do with this one. Coming back to this one, it just feels like coming back to something comforting, something you understand thoroughly. And sure, sometimes I might learn something new about Golden Axe while I'm here, and that's always interesting and fun. But I understand it well enough to call myself buddies with it, you know? By the way, how you run in this game, how you perform these dashes and dashing attacks, you have to double tap, then hold the direction you want to run in, which I mean, that doesn't sound like such a big deal, I'm sure, but doing it over and over the way I'm doing it right now, you start to get in your head about it a little bit. It's not a particularly difficult input, but doing it over and over like this, it gets to you psychologically. This guy, by the way, this enemy, his name is Lieutenant Bitter, I think. His sword has a massive range, and he knocks you out of the air when you try and jump attack him very consistently. So you either want to walk inside of his sprite and use your normal combo, or headbutt him like I'm doing here. Either will do, but that's how you deal with this guy. I am a little bit disappointed that the end credits you get for finishing the duel are the same as the end credits you get for finishing the main arcade story mode. I feel like they could have made some unique credits for arcade story mode. There's also the fact that the duel in general just isn't a great game mode. Sure, it's more Golden Axe, but you've already fought these enemies in these configurations before in the main game. It's not any more particularly difficult than the arcade mode. And I don't know. It's just 12 battles in a row with enemies you've already fought, and there's nothing particularly interesting or unique about the situation. The duel does come back in future games, and later there was actually a Golden Axe game just called Golden Axe The Duel, which was a fighting game that was on, I think, the Sega Saturn? My friend Nico tried playing that, and I think he broke his controller because the game was too frustrating. I don't plan to play that one myself, because it's a fighting game and not a beat-em-up. As for the other games in the Golden Axe series, I adore Golden Axe 3. I actually think it's so much better than the original Golden Axe. It has deeper strategies, more compelling boss battles, fantastic musical accompaniment. I was not a fan of Golden Axe 2. I felt like they did not, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but it really felt, I'm not one to call sequels soulless or anything, but you know, Golden Axe 2 felt pretty not passionate, is the thing. And I'm someone who really liked Final Fight 2, which most people consider to be soulless and not passionate. So I think if I'm saying that might mean something. Anyway, that's the duel mode in Golden Axe. You've now officially seen all of the content in Golden Axe, assuming you watched my original Golden Axe Let's Play. And if you haven't, you should. But back to talking about the Golden Axe series. The original, I think, has a bit of rugged charm to it, and I loved solving the puzzles in it. The second one, a lot more of the first, and the final boss is even cheaper than the final boss in this one. I love the third game. And there's this really great fan-made prequel to the original Golden Axe called Golden Axe Myth. I also played that on the channel. I like that too, even if it's a bit on the easy side for my tastes. And then there's Golden Axe Beast Rider, which I beat once, alongside my brother. And the thing I remember most about Beast Rider is that it was really difficult to play because I played it shortly after Metal Gear Rising. And in Metal Gear Rising, attacks are color-coded, so that way you know which attacks to parry and which attacks to evade. And the color coding for Golden Axe Beast Rider is the exact reverse of the color coding in Revengeance. So I just spent the whole game with my muscle memory destroying any chance I had. Now that it's been years though, I can probably go back to Beast Rider and give it another shot, especially since it was made by the developers of the Iron Man game on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and that's one of my favorite video games, so I'm very interested to see again what they did with Golden Axe Beast Rider. Maybe it's better than I remember. I barely remember anything about it, honestly. And I do love me some beat-em-ups. Anyway, I suppose we're done here. That's probably the last you're gonna see of the original Golden Axe on this channel. We've conquered all of the game content, thoroughly destroyed the campaign and the duel, and that's all there is. Not that that's a bad thing, there's as much as there needs to be. And I'll see you guys around.